Carl Icahn, founder of Icahn Enterprises, is an American business and a so-called activist investor. This means his investment strategy generally is to buy something when no one else wants it. So he likes to buy extremely cheap businesses that the market hasn't shown much love to, and then builds large stakes within those companies to be able to influence the board of directors and provide guidance on the strategic operations of the companies. Despite having a fairly diversified portfolio, the top 10 investment positions make up around 95% of Carl Icahn's entire portfolio, and in today's video, we will take a closer look at these positions. Icahn famously owned a large part of the now bankrupt company Hertz Global Holding, but in late May 2020, he sold all of his shares 6 years after first buying into the company. He took a loss of nearly $1.6 billion when he sold his 55.3 million shares for 72 cents each, but while his holdings represented around 39% of the company's stock, it made up just 1.9% of his portfolio and would have been the 11th biggest position in his portfolio at the time. Icahn has slightly changed the amount of stocks he holds of different companies over the past few months, however, so Xerox Holdings Corporation is now the 10th biggest position of his portfolio, making up about 1.82% of it. The American global corporation designs, develops, and sells document management systems and solutions in the United States and internationally in over 160 countries. Though the stock has recently taken a big hit, the company does have a high shareholder yield, meaning it returns a decent amount of cash dividends, net stock repurchases, and debt paydown to shareholders. Making up about 2.4% of Carl Icahn's portfolio is Navistar International Corporation, a company that operates in the heavy machinery and vehicles industry. It manufactures and sells commercial trucks, diesel engines, school and commercial buses, and service parts for trucks and diesel engines worldwide through its subsidiaries. Navistar operates through 4 segments: truck, parts, global operations, and financial services, and the company also provides customers with proprietary products needed to support the international commercial truck, IC bus and engine lines, as well as other product lines. In addition to that, Navistar also manufactures military parts and chassis, so it is a fairly niched business as opposed to some of the other ones in Icahn's portfolio. Next up is a company called Cloudera Incorporated, which is a US-based company that provides a software platform for data engineering, data warehousing, machine learning, and analytics that runs in the cloud or on premises. The company operates in the United States, Europe, and Asia, and mainly operates through 2 segments: subscription and services. However, Cloudera also provides consulting, professional, and education services. Icahn first bought into the company in 2019 and now owns over 52 million shares, worth nearly $670 million, which translates to 3.38% of his portfolio. A lot of value investors like Carl Icahn are very interested in Newell Brands Incorporated stock because this company is one that owns a whole portfolio of brands itself. Newell operates through 4 segments: appliance and cookware, food and commercial, home and outdoor living, and learning and development, and it markets its products to clubs, all kinds of retailers, and e-commerce companies, as well as sells directly to consumers online. Owning shares of a company that has such a diversified portfolio is usually a safe bet, and the fact that there is even a good amount of insiders buying into the stock, such as the CEO and the CFO, is also a good sign because it means that they have something invested in the company and have their wealth tied to the company they manage. Carl Icahn owns around 44 million shares in Newell Brands, which makes up about 3.5% of his portfolio. A lot of billionaire investors like to have a diverse portfolio but specialize in one sector, and for Icahn it seems to be the energy sector. 5.1% of his portfolio is made up by the nearly 21 million shares he owns in CVR Energy Inc, an energy infrastructure company primarily engaged in liquefied natural gas (LNG) related businesses in the US. That includes the development, construction, and operation of its LNG terminal business. In addition to that, CVR Energy also owns the Creole Trail Pipeline, a 94-mile pipeline interconnecting the Sabine Pass LNG terminal with various interstate pipelines, and operates Corpus Christi Pipeline, a 23-mile natural gas supply pipeline that interconnects the Corpus Christi LNG terminal with various interstate and intrastate natural gas pipelines. The company is also involved in the LNG and natural gas marketing business, and in February 2016, it became the first US company to export liquefied natural gas, with deliveries to Taiwan being set to begin next year. Caesars Entertainment Incorporated operates as a casino entertainment company in the United States, joining two successful gaming leaders, Caesars Entertainment and El Dorado Resorts, who together created the largest and most diversified collection of destinations across the US. The company operates resorts primarily under the Caesars, Harrah's, Horseshoe, and El Dorado brand names, offering various amenities and one-of-a-kind destinations, as well as gaming services. Carl Icahn bought into the company in late 2018, acquiring 17% and controlling up to 25% in order to force a sale of the casino company to rival El Dorado Resorts. However, a few months ago, the 84-year-old billionaire and activist investor apparently decided that his work there was done and sold the majority of his stake in the newly reconfigured gaming company that he helped create. Until then, Caesars made up just over 7% of Icahn's portfolio, but in July, he reportedly reduced his ownership in Caesars from 10% to less than 2%. As mentioned earlier, Carl Icahn has a sort of specialization in the energy sector, and with 7.26%, CVR Energy Inc. is the fourth largest position in his portfolio and has been one for quite some time already. The company, through its subsidiaries, engage in petroleum refining and nitrogen fertilizer manufacturing activities in the United States, operating through two segments, petroleum and nitrogen fertilizer. This makes this an investment that is probably not suited for a beginner investor because one should have a certain understanding of the oil market before investing in it. However, companies like this one often produce a large cash flow. In 2015, for example, CVR Energy produced over $500 million in free cash flow in just that 1 year, which is quite a lot considering that their market cap is $4 billion. But earnings and cash flow can be very volatile because they rely a lot on different factors, including the price of oil, which is why it is a fairly risky investment, especially for inexperienced investors. Back in 2012, Carl Icahn bought into the Herbalife Limited stock, while another investor, Bill Ackman, famously made a short bid against the Herbalife stock because of the company's multi-level marketing business model, which he called a pyramid scheme. So he sold short the company's shares directly, not with derivatives, starting in May 2012, causing Herbalife's stock price to drop. A few months after Ackman's initial comments, billionaire investor Carl Icahn challenged Ackman's comment in a public spat on national TV, before buying shares of Herbalife International shortly after. Icahn then continued to buy up Herbalife shares, which strengthened the stock price, and by May 2013, he owned 16.5% of the company, though that number had declined to 6.4% by November 2013. In 2014, Ackman then spent $50 million on a public relations campaign against Herbalife, which was designed to hurt the company's stock price. Eventually, even the FBI got involved to investigate whether Ackman had been hired to make false statements to lower the company's stock price. Ultimately, he exited his near billion-dollar bet against Herbalife after the company's stock price continued to rise, choosing to build his position in United Technologies instead. And while Ackman lost around $1 billion in the whole thing, Icahn made a profit of $1 billion from being an owner and continues to own shares in the company, which makes up just over 8% of his entire portfolio. The second biggest position in Carl Icahn's portfolio is Occidental Petroleum Corporation, which makes up 8.22%. The company, together with its subsidiaries, engage in the acquisition, exploration, and development of oil and gas properties in the United States, the Middle East, and Latin America. It operates through three segments: oil and gas, chemical, and marketing and midstream. The interesting thing about Icahn's involvement in this company is that he actually wrote an open letter to stockholders in February 2020 regarding Occidental's acquisition of Anadarko Petroleum in 2009. With the acquisition, they also inherited a significant legacy of environmental infractions, including the largest environmental contamination settlement in American history, involvement with the Deepwater Horizon BP disaster, and fines under the Clean Water Act. Since Berkshire Hathaway CEO Warren Buffett was the one who sealed the deal by pledging $10 billion to finance the acquisition in exchange for 100,000 shares of cumulative perpetual preferred stock with a value of $100,000 per share. According to Icahn's letter, this deal was a terrible deal for Occidental because the company was just paying far too much money and gave Buffett a far too good deal. By far the biggest position on Carl Icahn's portfolio is taken by his own company, Icahn Enterprises LP. He owns over 205 million shares worth nearly $10 billion, which translates to more than 50% of his entire portfolio. Icahn Enterprises is a diversified conglomerate holding company engaged in different sectors, including investment, automotive, energy, mining, food packaging, metals, real estate, and home fashion, so the company holds a bunch of different investments, including some wholly owned companies. This means that Icahn has diversified his portfolio a whole lot by investing such a big chunk of his fortune into this one company. Icahn obviously also controls the company and thus the stock and gets superior returns, as well as dividends of around 10%. And since this stock has been pretty reliable for a number of years now, there seems to be absolutely no reason for Icahn to reduce this position.
Thank you for checking this video out, and don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe for new videos every day. Turn that bell notification on and comment down below that you subscribed, and we'll make sure to reply and thank as many of you as we possibly can. Once again, thank you for watching and see you next time.